potential rotation, but the QB5 setup we can see is 2 men on top mid at arch side. So that will allow fast rotation to assist the B players once this push comes in. And the B players' objective would be to slow this down so that reinforcements can make its way there in time.
As you can see, Junko is trampling on the flowers, the pretty flowers as Valve calls them. Fitch will get taken out, Junko will reposition, although he's in the red and his teammate's dead, so as you see him immediately slowed down there, he can't really take that close quarters engagement at this point. Needs to buy time for his teammates to rotate, try and hold position, but he can't. Then with a great peek with the CZ, time for Dozier to reload, looking to harass Boomich, I think it is, towards the banana position, but the push is coming in for the CT. They've got flashbangs as well, but they're still not getting any kills. Dozier picking up a kill with a P250, 2-on-2 now as Mo goes down.
Dozier could do more damage. He might just catch Felina off guard there. Picks up the UMP. The bullet said there is actually a fully reloaded UMP. That's going to be nice. Can he make it happen though? Pulls one off the defuse. And there will be time for it, but the damage was really nice there from Gambit. 4 kills, a bomb plant, and they may go for a force buy here. Knowing that they did so much damage, there is definitely an argument for it. We'll have to see though if there's anything prepared for a situation like this, which would then, give them greater consideration to go for it. But also, it's completely fine to just have some pistols, wait around, and put the pressure on in the following round with more AKs. But they do go for a full-out buy here. I love this. I mean, with so much success in the previous round, you can only project even more of it with better weaponry and more utility. Yeah,
they've gone with the 1 AK. I think maybe there's an argument for one player to drop an AK and just be cannon fodder, but here we go, Felina rushing down mid, and oh boy, they've taken a lot of damage very quickly. QB fire. Kvik and Jumka, they're on stretchers already, they're on the gurneys.
Oh man, this worked out so perfectly. You won't always see this. What happened there, for those of you that aren't familiar, is that in the meta, it's actually, if you think that there's a Glock eco, then rushing down mid, rushing down banana is a very common way to play that round. But obviously with full CZ armor and an AK and grenades, that's not exactly the optimal choice. So that completely caught QB5. That's brilliant for Gambit's perspective.
They haven't picked up any weapons from that push though. Still 3 CZs on the players who started with them. And we have some Molotovs going towards New Box, trying to flush out what remains of these CTs on B, but nobody's there. And now you have to question what QB will do. I think they have to hold on to their weapons at this point. It would be suicide to try and recover this round, especially with the damage on the players who are still alive, and that might lend itself to an indicator of the experience comparison. QB Fire, it seems they made an error in that they didn't consider what their opponent might try to do based on how that round went for them, or maybe they did and just chose to push anyway. But
no, I think you're absolutely right. I think the good default way of thinking about that situation is, okay, well, if the round was different and let's say Gambit, okay, maybe they got the bomb down but in like 1 kill or something, it's very unlikely they'll go for that. But as you say, they got 4 kills, then it becomes very likely that a force buy is going to be a very good argument for Gambit. So I think you're completely right in that assertion, and that's something that QB5 have to make sure they don't drop the ball on in the future rounds, to miss important considerations like that, because it really put them behind. It's great though that they had the understanding, the cognizance to actually say, hey, let's just save these guns, let's just give it up to Gambit, let's save what we have and have a good follow-up round, as opposed to maybe trying an awkward retake that may not work.
Tactical timeout from QB Fire, refocusing the troops. An MP9 has been picked up, and FAMAS presumably, so the buy is reasonable. For the most part, the CTs have got full grenades, so they're well equipped to fight back in this round. One of these teams will be broke after this round. This is an important round to get an early start here on Inferno. First match of the day.
Wish I had one of the translation devices so I could translate for everyone, but alas, I only really understand English, James. I'm not a language expert, unfortunately. Maybe one day get the Rosetta Stone out. But for now, we are resuming play and really looking to get some grenades there into Banana. But the presence from Gambit there is fairly light to begin with. again, you could usually expect maybe way more grenades up there from the T side, but this is also a cool approach. They've actually saved a lot of their grenades, have Gambit, and they can sort of, once QB fires grenades start to extinguish, the smoke grenades and so on, then they can sort of throw more grenades back into Banana to steal it away from QB fire later in the round. That could be a good way to play this, because as we see, the second smoke used deep Banana, that's going to go away around the 50-second mark. So from that perspective, Gambit forcing those nades out really early is going to be a win, considering that they have saved their utility. So this could be one of the plays from them, just to play a slower round, win the utility battle, win the map control battle as a result, and then make the play.
Mo has just thrown a flashbang into Banana. Meanwhile, there is an exchange of fire towards the A bomb site. But you can often, if you are in GoTV, see a T standing on the steps into apartments very early on. That's where they throw the flashes over into Banana to regress the position. There's action all over the site, actually. Those are two fast picks towards the A site, but they were going to take Banana as well. Felina, the last man standing on the A site, and he's the last man to fall, and I think it's the safe territory once again from QB Fire. Kvic's making his way in. He's got one pick early, but Mo surely has a superior angle. 2 versus 4, and I think the options have been taken away. And again, we spoke about the implications of this round and the lack of money on both sides, so whatever QB Fire can hold on to at this point would be fantastic. Mo and Fitch, however, are closing the nets.
Yeah, I think this was a pretty awesome run. I don't think they expected, indeed, to essentially have such a good argument to go into A. I think they're just trying to clear top mid, honestly, just take the battles, force the CTs back a little bit, and even would have been happy with a trade kill. But yeah, that worked out much better than expected, I think, from Gambit's point of view. And this is the danger, is that I think from Gambit, you're going to see a lot of individual skill, and is that something that QB5 can keep up with? So far, from a strategical standpoint, from a tactical standpoint, Gambit are winning that battle as well. I like how Gambit are playing a slower game. I think the pacing of Gambit's T side so far, when QB5 does get enough money for the utility in the future, they'll actually have to play it a bit slower. You can't just throw all the utility straight away if the other side is playing a very slow pace, because then they'll just have the utility advantage. That will give them map control, and it makes it much easier for a team as well versed as Gambit to take full advantage and really close those rounds down.
I love that the Gambit are making it really hard for QB5 to make the right decision, because as those kills came in around the short boiler position, those 2 picks, I think there were 3 other Gambit players moving up Banana to re-establish control of that area. So how do you make a correct decision in that scenario? I don't know if you can. The Dren gets taken out in the apartment with the P250. He had a Mac 10, however. He was on an information mission. However, I don't think his information is good, because Gambit are moving into the stack.
Yeah, but this should be fine if they have appropriate use of the remaining Molotov. It would be really nice for new box, but they can just shoot their way to success as well. That's so far doing the damage, doing the job, and it's just Felina now with that Mac 10, who's perhaps even considering a save or a cheeky sort of exit. Or rather just sit and look for an exit frag in a very cheeky spot. But I suppose if you're playing the pit, that's going to be somewhat predictable. So let's see if he can get something here. I don't know if he's, I feel like everybody has to be watching these Hutchie demos and just Vega demos in general. They seem to be, they know something about Mac 10s that no one else seems to know. So
I was the first when it came to Mac 10s.
But can you make it look like an AK-47? Because that's what Vega have been doing.
I'm Mac 10, Dan.
So 3-2, Gambit take the lead, and QB5 back in with a buy, but we can't imagine there's much utility for them, and indeed they are lacking there. But what they lack in utility, we'll see the difference in the AWP from Waterfalls. So would expect a more passive round with less utility thrown early, but let's see if that works out for them.
For those of you on GoTV, I would pick a Dren because, again, he's one of my favourite players. Always awesome to watch. I was going to say Mo is as well, although this isn't really the most exciting map for him necessarily. Waterfalls will get the better of him on this occasion. So maybe for QB Fire, we'll look at Waterfalls as well while he has AWP. I mean, he will be integral to victory for QB Fire, at least on the CT half with that AWP. He has an important job. And now we have to focus on how Gambit can negate him. Waterfall still with an angle towards mid, and you can see he's not looking at boiler, just looking at mid, which means that Boomich will be keeping an eye on the boiler position from the other side, and there he is. So keeping a tight angle, trying to avoid flashbangs if he can. Of course, they can come over the roof as well, but can't really account for everything. Such is the nature of Counter-Strike. Gambit moving away from the banana possession, investing more people towards A, it seems.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't think Adren could ever possibly read the situation. They just spent so much time in the apps, so much time clearing it out, and all of a sudden you got Boomish in there taking down Doji. Adren gets a trade frag. Very surprising positions that Gambit just simply did not read. This has worked out wonderfully well for Quantum Bellator. Fire as they now look to close things down, just holding these positions. The time is going to force the hand of Gambit as they start to push the A site. Waterfalls with another nice frag, and it will be finished off by Valina. Should be able to grab his AWP indeed. And wow, I was going to say though that I love how between Adren and Dozier, the routine of how they take the apps, but that super late apps push, that really was fantastic.
Yeah, attack is often the best form of defense. QB5 getting their Manchester United on. And it's nice because I think Gambit thought that they had forced QB Fire back, forced them away from short. You saw Mo just running into the short position with the AWP, and I think it was Waterfalls, he was just waiting for him. No, Mo got second that earlier, whoever it was. Got wrecked pretty quickly.
Died first, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the short position later on. Yeah, QB Fire are just... They played the unexpected game to a T, but let's see how Gambit can adjust. A bigger focus on Banana. Look at the smokes they have to play around. Surely Kvik got to be detected. Hobbit's waiting for someone though, and he will get the kill. Just about, but that is a high variant situation. Oh, Waterfalls, does he go? Doesn't even spam one time. Imagine if he did. But maybe they feel like it would suggest that there are two people towards A, and there'd be a fast play from Gambit. But that could be why he doesn't want to take this shot. Either way, he has reset his situation, so it's a double CT play, because Junko is boosted up. He's on the flower bed. Man doesn't like flowers.
This is actually interesting. I mean, Gambit are in a spot where they just have to go together now. At this point, they don't really have utility left that they could just spend to use on map control. They've got to take a side with it, and they pick B. This is good, though. They forced players away from top mid, but also to the B defense. So it's a double-edged sword, because Quantum Bellator, they don't know what's going on, but they've decided to gamble on B. Gambit will go into B, but at least Gambit are going to have some grenades to go with. If they can, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to flash Waterfalls off this angle, but actually they'll go for it. And it's not quite fast enough, but he'll still miss the shot, and there's a chance here. Boomich with the cover there, taking down Adren. Waterfalls able, thanks to the support from his teammate Boomich in the site, falls back to a very good position, continues the damage. Waterfalls, Boomich, and then Jumka for the finishing blows. A very nice defense there from them. And a great gamble too. They read, they made the correct read, essentially, with the limited information that they had. Well, Quick actually bought an AUG. I respect that.
4 people surviving in that round for QB Fire. I can't imagine Kvik bought that on purpose, because he has a HE grenade and that's it, so there's got to be fat fingers on the keyboard. Fat fingers on the keyboard, the AUG with a higher armor penetration rate, but very difficult spray to handle, that is for sure. Waterfalls, he knows there's no AWP to challenge him this time, so he'll go for that pit play. Inferno's not like it used to be. You'd often see CTs looking for that angle, but not now. It seems all the more difficult. Très difficile, as the French would say in a terrible accent. Lots of horosh shouting from QB Fire. Oh, numbers game for Waterfalls. That Molotov is not something they can afford to go through, but they'll do it anyway since the numbers are low. Fitch and Dozier are trying to do anything they can, but anything seems to be nothing, as nobody is dead yet for QB Fire. Dozier has one play, the flashback through the smoke, running into the sights. I don't know if you can hear that, but QB Fire are in very good spirits. They are the closest team to us at the moment, Gambit on the other side of the studio, and they're pretty comfortable with how things are going at the moment.
Yeah, it's really dangerous when the sort of newcomer team gets, like, very confident. Obviously, that's something that we've seen go up and down for QB Fire, and I think a lot of it was to do. I mean, we saw the very first interview that Waterfalls had. He was very nervous, but now they're getting some matches under their belt. That win versus VP, I think, was so important, because as Waterfalls said, to them, VP are still a top team, and to the rest of us, they're a bit of a wild card, but that obviously served to really help them out here. So let's see if they can convert that confidence into a victory. They have regained momentum, but here comes the abs push. 2 men there to battle it, and the trades will be in. Waterfall's in a very tight spot. Oh, that's a nice shot down onto Adren. Gets out of there as well, and there is no way to pursue him right now. Waterfalls has done so much work, but still, more to be done. Spots the next one as he looks to change the angle, but Hobbit catches him, finally.
The AG might actually come into play with the scope towards the pit position. The bomb's planted. He knows somebody's on the site, if not double stack. Maybe the sound cue gave it away. Repositions as the smoke disappears. Jumka delivering a kill, and it's Dozier 1 versus 2, 1 versus 1. Kavik, can he do it with the Orc? He can! What a ridiculous situation. More shouts of Harosh from QB Fire. Never heard so much Harosh in my life. This is a great shot, this second shot from Waterfalls. Sorry, the third shot even. It's such a challenging angle for him, and to deliver a kill like that, considering how much he can see, that is nuts.
My goodness. Love it. I'm actually really sad that the AUG had to be exchanged for the AWP. I think it's a very close call, you know.
That was great from Waterfalls. I would go as far as to say Oishin Kruto, which is Russian for basically that is awesome. So
I'll go with Splendid.
You can go with Splendid? I don't know what the Russian is for Splendid.
Ooh, they've gone double AWP. They've gone double AWP. They've been watching the G2 demos. They've been watching Shocks and Kenny S perhaps. Let's see how this goes. Jumka, second AWP. Well, Waterfalls has been absolutely killing it, so there's no doubt there. And he goes really aggressive. He's always taking these very deep peaks down to the slope. And this is not super common. Obviously, he knows that there's no money for an AWP on Gambit's perspective, so he feels a little bit safer to go for that peak. But it is becoming quite predictable, so that's something he has to be cautious of.
Spot some legs. It's not time for catwalk. Oh, he's missing some shots now. Forced to reposition, manages to escape though, that's also important, but he's given up position and he's making his way to library. Fitch is around the corner. Is this being covered properly? It is. The Fitch has been taken down in the meantime, and now he can hold the cross. Felina is delivering elsewhere from the pit position, and everybody's getting wrecked for Gambit. Not a single player lost for QB Fire.
They're so hype, man. They're so hype.
Malodets.
I love it. They're so hype. Coach is going absolutely mad. 7-3. They've really regained full control here. It would actually be awesome if we could see, you know, Gambit sort of like their desk, because it's almost like opposite QB Fire. Just it would be awesome to see that disparity of energy. Gambit very chilled out at the moment, from what we can see, but I hope to see Zeds out again, and they have had success in the past with them. So let's see what they can get here. Waterfalls again, Brazen Peaks. Jumka gets his AWP working as well. Never a doubt.
These guys are warmed up. And it's been great rifle support for these sniper rifles, whether it works out or not. This time it doesn't. And there are weapons to collect here for Gambit. But Adren, he's so smart. The clutch king of 100 ping picks up an M4. There's a man advantage now, and they're all on rifles, these Gambit players. QB Fire have a lot of money in the bank. There's already an AWP on Gambit, so you don't really need to be concerned about giving one up. Waterfalls and Velina. Smoke's just gone down. That's a problem for them. Velina will deploy a smoke of his own. Really hard. How do they get through this? Waterfalls. Does he push through a smoke with an AWP? Here comes Velina. Waterfalls holding angles. Dozier's been spotted. Where are the other two, though? That clock is ticking. They both have kits, DCTs. Velina finding something through the smoke, but not a kill. And he might have to back off and leave his teammate to die. I don't know if Waterfalls can get out of this. Gets a Molotov kill, though. Trying to escape now, and Hobbit's got the angle. Hobbit's dead. Adren, more importantly, saves his own weapon at this point. Everyone else dies, though. Gambit back to winning ways.
And it looks so good. This looked so convincing at the beginning, but it all just takes the two players on the banana defense to die instantly, and especially when you give away an AWP on that defense when the bomb is for post plant. The AWP is so strong, especially on that B bomb site. So it gets very hairy indeed. So maybe a little bit of overconfidence, maybe a little bit of just being too hyped. You know, that is something that can come into play if you're a very new team and this is a new sort of stage for you. The adrenaline is going to affect you a lot more than it would a team like Gambit, who have incredibly seasoned players. It didn't
look like the most amazing push from Gambit on Banana, however. There is a flashbang when you're coming up Banana towards the car position, which is now a bunch of barrels. The wall behind it, to the right hand side, it has a window. I don't know if the obs can bring that up, but there's a window there. And if you're coming up banana and you throw a flash just to the right-hand side of the window while you're running, it basically lands behind the sandbags. So if somebody's standing behind the sandbags, they're going to get flashed. If somebody's holding that AWP angle like Junko was, he's going to get flashed. You can't really avoid it unless you look away, so you force the people off your angle. So I think there's better timing for the push that they seem to do in that round, which definitely helps QB5 get off to a good start in that round, despite the fact that they lost it. 7-4, and I think we've been made expensive for QB5, having to rebuy everything, and that will mean for the time being one sniper rifle rather than two.
We know how active Waterfalls has been on this CT side, and it's something that I'm sure Gambit, or I would hope at least that they are considering, because we saw him just there at the early stages of the round taking a fairly aggressive angle, looking for the player that will be clearing the apartments, which has been Adren and Dozier, but he didn't find it. It's a slower pace from Gambit, and again we talked about this. If you don't have as much utility as your opponents, you play a slower rounds, you let the CTs throw all those aggressive grenades initially, then the utility sort of starts to even out a little bit, and that's really where Gambit are right now. When we've got 50 seconds left, they're starting to clear top mid. Right now QB don't seem to know exactly what's going on. They have right now Boomish sort of floating between A and B. Oh, and that's a very, very important pick from Mo. There's 35 seconds left. They would pick towards A right now. QB are just pressing on B as well, so they understand that it's going to be A, and they have a flank set up immediately.
Junka and Boomish are rotating as fast as they can. The T's just get off top mid as the CTs start to come in from the bottom. Have the sound cue been made? Delina needs to buy time for his team now. 17 seconds as the flank comes in. Boomish and Junka moving towards the arch position, but there's a smoke down which has just disappeared. 2-on-2, 10 seconds to plant the bomb. Hobbit doesn't know what's safe. Dozier must hold the angle. Going for his reload though, and nobody's rechecking arch just yet, but Hobbit will surely be looking in that direction. Now he is raised, elevated, and he gets the first kill, spraying onto Boomish, leaving Junka alone. 1 versus 2. He knows that one of these players has no idea where Dozier is, and surely as soon as he engages Hobbit, Dozier will pop out from somewhere. Got to look at the trade down to the pistol, going for the shots, but not enough. Asking a lot from Junka, wasn't able to do it. Gambit continue the comeback.
There's that very important pick from Mo. Again, that pick from Mo came at around, I think, 35 seconds left. If Mo's unable to get that pick, I think life is so much more difficult for Gambit, because at that point, the flank was happening. QB Fire already worked out that it was going to be an A push, so the flank was already on the way. So if that pick doesn't come, then it slows the push down for Gambit. The flank just crushes the round. I don't think they even get the bomb down. So very fine margins for Gambit to take that round, and now they've actually broken the money finally of QB Fire. So the Mac 10 is out on Hobbits, and they'll take top banana.
Hobbit can be very aggressive, and those are the grenades, just as I mentioned. Right side of the window, goes behind the sandbags. Anybody hiding around the corner would be blasted into oblivion. And that money, that glorious money from QB Fire, apparently has been burned, no longer exists. So we may see a strong finish to the half from Gambit, but the score won't be massive even if they do. QB Fire could be happy with 7 rounds on the board so far. Won't get much out of this round, but there wasn't much to be expected, so not the end of the world.
So we have that 7-6 scoreline. QB Fire got loads of momentum early on. They're super hyped up. Things have quieted since then. Now that Gambit are back on the attack, and Mo delivering with the AWP in times of need. So with more utility, maybe we'll expect a faster pace here from Gambit to try to take Banana, and indeed they'll actually sprint straight up Banana with all the grenades, and so this is what you can expect when they do have more utility to burn, and it's going to be a very fast take here. They can leave a player up there as they start to clear the rest of the map. Gambit so far have shown us very good fundamentals from this perspective of running these defaults, taking away as much map control as they can. The one thing that they need to do now is create some presence in the apartments. Dozier's on the case though with that, and of course the Dozier Adren combo is the combo of Gambit that's are responsible for this portion of the map in their default.
Who is Boomish standing on a teammate? I believe he is.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Boomish on head. Get your hashtags in. Dozier able to avoid those shenanigans, and around a minute mark they will move to a more traditional setup. Nobody in the pit though for the CT side. I wonder what the read is. Felina moving over towards Arch with Waterfalls, and it seems to be going all the way towards the B bomb site. QB Fire seem to have good reads as to what Gambit are intending, and Gambit are very slow to get there. So a third person moving towards B, almost in position. Although there are no grenades for QB Fire, I'm sure they'd love a flashbang to drop into pool. Oh, there's one grenade, but it's a bit fast. Now Bubich is making his way over, so it's going to be 4 CTs on the B bomb site, and this push is still just coming in from Gambit. One player picked off, but they are going to be in for nasty surprises. They run into a crossfire as well. They're getting wiped out off the map, off the history books. And Dren, can he do it? 1 versus 3. He's picked off 1 player. Still a rotation coming in towards CT. He's got 15 seconds, so he's got to commit to the bomb plant. Surely it won't work out. Bubich goes straight into the crosshairs. He needs to reload. Another AK. He's out. So many things for Dren to deal with, but he won't. QB Fire, round number 8.
I almost expected the ace there, Dren. Absolute monster, but not this time. QB Fire looking to be feeling pretty good actually at the end of this half. You know, 8 or 9 rounds is definitely pretty good, but as you say, like, these crossfire absolutely devastating, and it's happened more than once now that Gambit have been essentially too slow, and QB Fire they work it out pretty damn quickly as to what's going on, and immediately they have the rotation in there. And so Gambit just need to either be quicker, or they need to make things a little bit more obscure, or maybe run a fake. If QB Fire are very happy to just rotate very quickly, that's when fakes become really powerful. So Waterfalls just going in, man. Just going in, just pushing a deep down banana, looking for those frags, and he's going to get one.
He was not expecting to escape that situation. He was at the point of no return, and he managed to return anyway. So that's pretty good stuff. Rotating back towards the A site now, keeping Gambit surprised. And I think Gambit definitely needs to review this half after the match, whether they win or lose, because, again, QB Fire in a number of rounds have read. I think it's just a lack of noise that Gambit usually make. Maybe with grenades and so on, if they're going to make an execute. Those are taken out in the balcony position, and there's more info. He was the only person lurking towards A, so Gambit have got to go fast on B now.
And this could be somewhat of the difference. There's not the 4 players here ready to receive the push, but there's only 3, and they have been somewhat staggered by this use of utility. Dren should have the kill onto one of the players here. Oh my god, a Dren! I have no idea how he picked up those 2. Down to 18 health, and again in a position where to win the round he has to ace. Just going for the bomb plant there. They are going to play it safe here. Gambit, surely Adren can't do this. They did line up, but there's just no way Adren can win that one. And it's a 9-6 scoreline at the end of the half. That's really impressive here from the likes of QB Fire.
I like the fact that Adren, it's a small thing, but he committed to the bomb plant last time. I think because last time he faked the bomb plant and he shot one guy in the face immediately, I think he had to read the guy was unlikely to re-peek him despite it being a 3 versus 1, and he was right. He got a free plant, the guy running backwards out of construction. Respect to the Dren, but it wasn't enough, unfortunately. At that point, the bomb plant was inconsequential, and it was all about winning the round, but it wasn't enough. 9-6. I think this is a pretty monstrous score for QB Fire.
Oh yeah, I think that most would not have expected them to have such a strong half against Gambit. Obviously, the result against VP, you know, a lot of us, I think all of the talent, and I'm sure almost everyone at home predicted VP, because it's just hard. It's always difficult, VP. Again, they're in a sort of place all by themselves. It's a complete wildcard team. You never know what's going to happen with them. You know that they can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. So obviously that it was one of those things where if we look, we can't read into it too much, but QB5 definitely generating, I think, a lot of respect just through this half alone.
I think we could sum it up as this major potentially being a breakout event for QB Fire. Certainly the story so far, and how far can they go, only they can tell us. They have a great opportunity now, because obviously if they win this pistol, we're likely looking at a 12-6 scoreline, and that may be too much for Gambit to recover from. Time will tell. You wonder if there's added pressure in a situation like this versus a lesser known opponent than your usual, arguably stronger opponents. We'll find out. 10 seconds remain until this pistol gets underway. Dozier will be the grenade man for the CT side with the defuse kit as well. I think on Gambit's T side we saw 2 players holding grenades, but for QB it will just be Velina. No P250s dropped for the players either, just grenades and Glocks.
Straight up banana, keep things simple. As the saying goes. And already a good amount of nade damage. I actually made that just a dink straight onto Mo. That always feels bad when you're on the CT side. Feels kind of like you're useless. One bullet will finish you off. So poor Mo. Now I can see QB Fire actually sort of backing away here. This can be really smart because you can sometimes catch a CT that's trying to set up a flank or a contain and then overwhelm them and then open up another bomb site. So this is one of the reasons why the movement sort of, the whole position and then doubling back not only makes it a question whether you are going to the other side, but also you can catch players. So I like this from QB Fire, and now they've decided to actually make their way in. Oh, that flashbang got absolutely everyone, but it's about converting it into kills, and they only got one.
Yeah, but there's still a round to fight for here, and QB still have 3 players on the site, but they've got to be really careful about where they peek from because the CTs are everywhere. Dozier taking out Boomich. Kvik and Junka remain. Kvik doing what he can, again, inferior range with the Glock against 2 full health players, and these Ts are quite tagged. Junka, got to be careful not to shoot his teammate there. They need to rescue the bomb as well, which is at the feet of Gambit. Dozier missing the crouching player, but gets him eventually. I don't know why he's run away from the angle, and then he's left the Dren exposed. I don't know why he did that. I think he made a read that maybe the other guy was coming from the other way, so they'll double up, but almost got a Dren killed for his efforts. Either way, the pistol round goes with Gambit.
I love Dozier's picture, by the way. It really looks like he is, I don't know, it's like he's like some kind of end boss for a fighting game. It's like that power stance. This big old forearms.
Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, perhaps.
So we got a 7-9 scoreline now for Gambit. They pick up the pistol, they get the SMGs out. We have the force buy out of QB Fire. Unable to get the bomb planted, so this is the standard way things would play out. So Gambit will realize this. Decent chunk of damage onto Jimka. So it's really about just forcing QB Fire into crossfires, into positions where they can't get pictures of deagles, all this kind of stuff, and slowly whittle them down. And there we go. Dozier already starting the action off, takes down Valina towards Spoiler. And what are QB Fire going to do? They might want to get their numbers in. Mo's going pretty deep here. Ooh, the smoke goes away. Have to be very careful with that. Does get out of dodge though.
However, only one player has been picked off here, and we saw in the previous half that isn't necessarily enough, because now QB Fire have an opportunity to move all the way up banana and try to play the numbers game. For the time being though, they'll try to get picks towards A, perhaps to pull a player away from the B bomb site in case there's a third person there, because the bomb is still at T ramp. And there isn't really an indication as to if someone from B is going to pick it up, take it to A, or vice versa. 40-second mark, and it's... I mean, if they want to plant the bomb, someone's got to go and collect it now. There we go, Kvik's on the way. But will it be A or will it be B? Maybe Waterfall's suicide towards the A site? This makes sense to me. Now, Waterfalls is rotating as well, but you see Dren's already moving towards B because of the lack of action towards A. So I think in this situation, there's an argument for one person to suicide A to keep that third player away from the B bomb site. But here is the push. Flashbangs are in tow, and Hobbit will spread the joy of the MP9 to all concerned. And Dren, the third man, comes through the smoke there. So for me, I think Waterfalls has to suicide on A and do the best they can with the 3 players on B. But it is what it is.
Yeah, Hobbit did well there as well to sort of cover himself whilst he's on 3 HP, not die, and that means that Gambit survived with every player. And so now we could see a mid rush and a banana rush from Gambit, because Gambit will know that it's incredibly likely that there is just Glocks right now. It doesn't make sense for QB Fire to buy anything in this round. So here it is. You can see it happens. They'll go for that mid push. This is a way that it does actually work out when your opponents aren't likely to force buy and absolutely smash you in. So as we can see, it's going fantastically well. Boomich actually surprisingly getting a kill with the Glock there. But in the previous round, Gambit it was a flawless round for them. Oh my god, Boomich with the Glock! That
was a burst.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm having 1.6 flashbacks right there.
Dren, how does he get 3 bursts on you and you don't kill him?
That is quite mental, isn't it?
9-9, and Gambit have done what they needed to do. They won the pistol, they didn't get wrecked by a force buy or an eco. No 12-6 or 6-12 rather, since we're talking from Gambit's perspective. The score is all tied up, and now the test really begins for QB Fire. They've done well to get to this point. They've got most of what they want. They've got Waterfalls on AWP, but he's no Kevlar, which is curious. Inferno is not necessarily the easiest map to AWP on, and on the T side, oh, Junka standing in the flames, and that's a great response to an AWP no armor to get that early pick in.
Yeah, that was very brave. Found the timing, very, very fast timing. Question now is, what do Gambit do? I think, Gambit, they have, a UMP, a FAMAS, they don't have a lot of grenades. There's a pretty big argument for them to try to make a play somewhere. But also, at the same time, stacking a bomb site could actually be a really good way to go. So we'll see what they can do. There's obviously still a lot of time left in the round. And I think we'll see one player potentially rotating towards B, or actually, are they just going to stay two to a side? Okay, so the players do correction here down Banana. Nice pick off there onto Jimka. That changes things a bit. You even up the numbers. There's almost no utility on the T's. They can now play, or actually, they will actually understand now the top mid push is coming. So rotation in from Gambit.
What is Waterfalls doing?
I'm not sure exactly, James.
Standing in the smoke with no armor. Interesting. It's a full rotation from Gambit. They've got everybody towards the B bomb site. There are 43 seconds left, and it looks like they've made the right play. But will they hold on to this? Because surely as time ticks, yeah, Mo starts to run back towards B, and then back towards A as the grenades are coming to where are the personnel? There they are, Fitch spotting two players, getting traded by Kvik from the balcony position. Time's running out though. QB5 have to press on. Waterfalls, 8 HP, no Kevlar, and he's the last man standing, and he won't get very far. Gambit survive, only with two players, but they get an AWP for their troubles and an AK-47.
And for those of you at home as well that are interested about CT setups and stuff, just looking at the Adren and Dozier bait setup on the bomb site, that's a very common one. We see that the first contact is taken around the default bomb plant boxes from Dozier. Then you have up on the crate in the corner is Adren, who covers the angle should they try to push in. Here it is. It's a very, very strong and effective bait setup if you're covered from arch side, and that's what Counter-Strike is about. It's about creating these bait setups. It's about creating distractions and splitting up defenses and so on. And when you don't have time, you can't really do it effectively. You have to just walk into it, and that obviously is problematic. So 10-9 is the score as a result, and Gambit looking like they're going to stabilize it.
I was going to say something really intelligent, Dan, but then I forgot.
Or just pretend.
Then I forgot, never mind. Oh, Jimka's pick in that previous round. I think on the buy round, that might make Gambit's first half of every round more expensive. The fact that he was able to run there and take that pick may mean we see more grenades in the early round from Gambit. But once again, Jimka's managed to make a forward position, and he's caught Hobbit off guard. He will get traded by Mo, but Mo's got to fear a rush now.
Was it Hobbit before as well?
Yeah.
That he killed? Oh man, poor Hobbit. He's going to be pretty angry about that one. But that timing obviously is so sick. We can see the movement there. He understands that he's able to duck behind the wooden board and actually be undetected because he's so fast. His spawn is obviously very good. So that's something to look at as well. Those timings, and that's something that Gambit will slowly adjust to, as you say, James. So that's maybe a bit gimmicky from that perspective. And should he try it again, it's very likely he'll get smacked down pretty hard.
Well, I wouldn't say it's gimmicky, because what he's doing is like, this is a problem. You must solve this problem, and they're probably going to solve it with more investment in grenades or personnel at the beginning of the round, which makes a Gambit less equipped later on in the round than they otherwise might have been. So he's giving a Gambit an issue that they must solve. This smoke on the balcony is super powerful, especially on LAN against UK teams in a pistol round, because they always rush balcony. So stand there, sit there, crouch for 5-7, body block. You can do it on cobblestone as well when you think there's a force fire coming in through the doors. A bit of smoke down there, body black, and spam away. I prefer the knife. Gambit 11 to the 9 of QB5. Both teams back on the bye. Gambit confident enough to continue just with Hobbit and Mo on Banana, so they won't be conditioned by Jimka's shenanigans early in the round. They will continue as normal. That's a big grenade bouncing into second mid. That's very reasonable damage indeed.
Yeah, looks like QB5 just want to go up into A, just no qualms about it, just go for a straight up split. There's no messing around with map control elsewhere. There's already a player, Mo, sort of going to be cheating his way through Speedway pretty quickly and just holding on to that position, because it does look like QB5 may be trying to take control of that area of the arch as well. So right now, Gambit are probably a bit curious, what exactly QB5's game plan is here, because they also have no presence on Banana, so it's not as if they really want to split onto B. You really want to be able to have one player in Banana at least for that. But as far as Gambit understand, that may be the case. So this is really interesting. They've used a huge amount of utility, and all they've gotten from it so far is they've pushed the defense back, and they've got Valina in this position. But Dedren's looking for it, but he can't find it. Brilliant play there from Velina, and now the push to B comes.
And they will get pinched from CT spawn, which really splits the only two people who were there anyway. Hobbit gets a Molotov down, and QB Fire are running away. That's so curious, but they're putting those into the library position, and Velina's waiting for him back towards the A site. Now it's Fitch alone, so it's gone from a 5 versus 2 to a 5 versus 1. QB playing at the Gambit fiddle at the moment. Will Fitch get traded? He's done 2, he's done 3. That is massive from Fitch. He's buying time for the rotation as well. He can't get the 4th, but he's left Boomic on 13 HP. Felina still cutting off rotations though.
Oh, so sick from Fish. Oh, just so close, but he manages to make it work. Down to 19. First bullet wins. Where is Boomish? That's the big question for Hobbit. He has to take some gambles here. He can't check everything. He's got to make the right read now. With the bomb on the default spot, it looks like it's plant grabs, and it's a very easy bait there for Boomish. Perfectly done, playing the mind games. But still, this play from Fitch, almost taking down every single player by himself. Expert work, and oh, he was so close on Boomich as well. It's an insane round from just the rotations of QB Fire, and also using all their utility just to place one man in CT. I think Gambit were just utterly confused.
Divide is the call on QB Fire, and you've got to be brave to make rotations like that. That is crazy, but it was such an interesting round with the player in CT just waiting. So horrible for Adren. He was getting flashed through the library door as with the player lurking towards Arch. Nasty round for him, but the CTs can still buy, and again, credit to Fitch for making that really expensive for QB Fire. Dozier will be up on the short position. Smoke's top mid for the time being, so QB Fire will have to bide their time. And QB Fire don't have all the grenades in the world at this point. Minute 20 on the clock. And they've got a bunch of smokes. One molly, one flash. That one flash to rule them all. So they'll be limited in how they fake if they choose to later on.
This has made things very interesting. I have no idea where this one's going to go at this point. Really close game. Very even. Neither team has any economy, so this is a very, very important swing round indeed. Lots of noise here towards Banana. Nothing as far as presence is concerned towards the A side of the map. And you can see Hobbit goes for the information play, but they're still behind the smoke. And there's no vision on top mid, so once again, Gambit have no idea what is exactly happening right now. They're just saying, well, we don't want to take the risk. We're just going to play very passive positions and try to rely on these basic setups.
30-second mark. Kvik is top mid, looking to engage Adren through the smoke. Meanwhile, QB Fire pushing into B. There seems to be play will come in through before the A play, so he may lurk and try to flank the rotation. He's dueling with Dozier, and Dozier will pick that off, but where are the CTs towards the B bomb site? Adren fighting as they push through the smoke, and the bomb's been lost. The bomb's on the wrong side of the smoke. They've made a booby, and that might cost them a round. Surely there is no room for recovery now. Waterfalls playing against the clock, holding an angle to try and save his own skin, but that is a colossal mistake. At round 23, you can't be pushing the smoke with a bomb.
Yeah, with that, you know, that much time to go, it seems very weird to push everyone. I mean, you can just take the site. There's only one guy there, then you get the plant. You play a favorable post plant. That is a massive blunder, frankly. I don't think you can really put it any other way. Well, I suppose you said it's a big booby, so there's that, I suppose. And right now, it's cost them so much. I mean, obviously, Waterfalls keeps a hold of his AWP, but look what they were reduced to. Their economy was in tatters. They needed that round win, and now it's Gambit with a really good arsenal and amount of utility to work off of. Let's see if QB5 can maybe throw a wrench into the works, though, with these pistols. Wouldn't be the first time.
This is the test for QB5, because winning that round probably puts them in the lead in this game.
Yeah.
And now they have right royally nosed it right up, and now they're in the worst position that they've been in this match, I think. So we'll see what they can do. Kevlar is plentiful, but AWP must deliver. Waterfall so far so good. Adren taken out quickly, taking up some real estate, looking for Hobbit on Speedway. He's reading the rotations and trying to open up the map, and he's doing that. They're pushing towards CT now. Mo is in B though, and Dozier's pushing forward on A. This is an absolute carnage. So many targets for Mo. Way too many targets. Perhaps he went too far, and that is I don't know how they're doing this QB fire, but this is probably their round. Those who are 5 HP, 1 versus 3. It's where he checks all these angles, run straight into the fire. How on earth did they do that?
Yeah, I think it's, again, just one of those spots where Gambit are just sort of misreading the way that QB want to move on the map. Because, okay, that pick, all right, that's fair enough. But when Waterfalls is just running into Arch side, that's an assumption from Gambit that it's 100% like a split onto A. Whereas that wasn't the case. QB actually had Waterfalls leading the charge. So it's so smart to actually have him try to get a free pick towards CT, because that push was so fast, he could catch someone in mid-rotation. So that was just a really good read from Waterfalls to go for that. And now the quick push with the pistols here, just no investment, wiped out almost immediately. And Gambit, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know where this is going to go, James. This is so, I feel like Gambit are struggling to read QB fire, like many teams have struggled to read Veja, actually.
I can't believe Gambit lost that round. Although credit to Waterfalls, he knows how much time he has. He knows what the CTs are likely to do. What would you do in my position? What would I do in your position, sorry? I would try and support the A guys so they don't get pinched. Run up speedway. He's got the angle. And here we are. And now it's Gambit's turn to try and find a way back into this. You could argue it's even worse since Gambit are on the CT side. And you see the lack of money on both teams, to be fair. But QB are about to make some coin.
It is pretty insane. Like, I think it's one of those things as a player, you have this sort of internal clock where, like, I have 5 to 8 seconds to make this play and catch someone off guard on a rotation. From making this kill on a Dren, I know that will trigger a rotation. If the players around this area, the map is going to take this much time. That's something I want to gamble on, and that's it's really always very fun to see that, like, instinctual, those plays made off of pure instinct, like we saw from Waterfalls there. He had really good movement as well. He was trying to bunny hop around the corner to, like, just shave off any additional time. Wow, Gambit's in a lot of trouble here. This
is a match-losing territory for Gambit.
Yeah.
This is very late in the game now. Their money is still going to suck after this round. So it may be a double eco and giving up the lead. Well, the lead's gone already. But they'll be trailing. They pretty much have to eco unless they want to go for a crap buy, which I don't recommend. Tactical timeout has been called by Gambit.
This is one of the crazy things to me too, is that it's very difficult to be an aggressive AWP on T side of Inferno. It might be one of the hardest maps to do it, actually. And a lot of teams actually just, they will maybe run the AWP here or there, but they don't try to have it all the time on their main AWP, just because it can offer a degree of rigidities, whereas you're much more agile with 5 AKs. We already saw all the kind of rotations that we saw at a QB fire. If you have an AWPer, like, typically the AWP is at its strongest in a post-plant scenario on the T side of Inferno. So it's been impressive to see how well Waterfalls plays the AWP aggressively and how confident he is.
Gambit, Kevlar, CZs. They've left money in the bank. And this is a dangerous buy for Gambit. They have got 4 smoke grenades, so they're looking to play the long game, which I love to see. You love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Will QB be ready for it? Boomich is peeking top mid alone with the bomb in tow. Felina not far behind him, throwing it away. Smart stuff. Don't want to make the same mistake twice. Dozier is around the smokes on the arch position. 3 smokes remain for Gambit. Dozier doesn't have one of them. One's just been deployed by Mo on the B bomb site. Seemed to think a push was coming in because the smoke is right in front of B. So here we go, minute mark left, and Hobbit is last man with a smoke grenade, and he's towards the B bomb site. So if this push comes in, which is very likely, with the clock running down, they may feel like they're at the point of no return. They're really taking their time, QB, in this arch position.
they love the B splits, don't they? They love going through Arch and CT.
Oh, Hobbit's just smoked off though. He's just smoked off the B bomb site, so the bomb's going to rotate. They're not going to push through it. And with the position of QB on Arch, this might just work out for them. Adren though, he's in the boiler position. There's 20 seconds left. Which way will it go? This is not a bomb. He's still got bullets though in the magazine, and now the bomb's having to rotate around the Arch position. Hobbit needs to get into the site. He's around the library area. He needs to go faster because there's 12 seconds. He has to commit, try and stop the bomb from going down. He's just waiting, taking random shots, so they might have missed their opportunity, the CTs. They might have missed their opportunity. 3 on 3. Do they go for it? Do they save what they have for a better buy in the next round since they've got Kevlar? Seems they might go for it. Hobbits picks up an M4. Fitch is making his way into the balcony position. Hobbit's got a kit.
Has to survive this engagement first to get that kit towards the site. And some damage being done here. Quick on the graveyard position is in trouble. Cobb is waiting. Oh, that timing was really crucial. Mo is found himself an AWP. That's a great shot, but again comes down to the slimmest of margins there for QB to win the round. Gambit really offering up a very good effort, and also I loved how they dispersed their, or decided to disperse the pistoling players. We saw that they were reading the push from QB and also anticipated how much QB really enjoy the play in towards those B splits, and it almost makes you wonder if they should have actually not even smoked banana to some extent.
Yeah, I wonder about the money Gambit spent in the last round now, because Mo started this round with exactly 47.50, so he had money for AWP, no Kevlar, so he's gone for a rifle. So I think mistakes maybe were made by Gambit, because you want Mo on the AWP, surely. And they've got 2 UMPs. Again, when it was down to 3 on 3, if they save what they have, the Kevlar and so on those players, then maybe there are more rifles in this round. And there was a rifle picked up by Hobbit as well, but all was lost towards the end there. Not always one right way of doing things, and there's going to be a big duel on Banana soon. Adren gets taken down with his UMP, and Hobbit is blind. He's facing the wall. He's down. Mo still on the site, probably wishes he had an AWP now, but he's got the M4. What can he do with it? Spotting Junker in the corner, flashes there. He needs a lot of help going second oranges. Dozier's making his way in CT with a smoke down. Is there a flash from Dozier? No, he's got no grenades, and down goes Mo.
Oh, this is a very desperate situation. Waterfalls catches the rotation through Banana, and now Dozier, all he can do is run away, try to save what he has. Bring up bullets though, and that will be the end of him. Jim Kerr with the pursuit, and QB5, they know how close they are. They're getting really loud again over to our left. And that push from Adren, I was really surprised, because he made a pop flash, blinded everyone, then waited until everyone could see again, and then pushed. So I don't really understand that. Exactly, it's very strange, and that's sort of where the stack of cards started to fall down.
Now, Gambit have gone for Force Spy. They would rather not play against match point. Now, if they lost this round, if they lose this round, they're going to be at maximum loss bonus. So they could have had a monstrous buy in the next round, but instead they've got a buy which is weaker than their last buy, which didn't work out for them. So you can see how it's going. Try and shock and awe, but not quite there for them. 4 versus 3 though. They're still around to fight for here. But things have gone from bad to worse, really. And it looks like they're going to abandon the A site and just all stack B, although Hobbit's going to have a look towards top mid. Deploy a grenade there and make his way towards B as well. Just showing some presence towards A before they all move in together.
Not really in a good position after that mid push. I thought it was a pretty good idea, but QB played a really nice defensive setup. Had a second middle on lockdown, and that's sort of where Gambit were really putting most of their players, their weapons. So all they have to do is go together and they'll be fine at this point. QB about to move on to match point here. That would be absolutely insane. We can't count out Gambit just yet though. They will be on maximum loss bonus, and I mean the problem is with that is I think only Hobbit's actually really going to have all that much. Hobbit will have $4,500 after this round, and that is the most money of anyone. So they really need to save these Kevlars. It's such high priority to keep these Kevlars alive, because if they do, they'll have 4 rifles full utility. If they die, then they won't. So that's really the big difference there. QB, they've got plenty of money, and it would definitely service them well to try to get some kills. It would be very impactful if they get a couple of kills here. So I hope QB get aggressive. They should realize that Gambit is saving immediately, because there's been no presence, no threat, nothing from Gambit in a very long time on this round. And indeed, they're starting to send out the feelers there. Jimco will go towards Banana, perhaps. But QB is still holding the bomb side, still giving perhaps, I think, way too much respect.
Well, maybe because Gambit went for it in the 3-on-3 in the previous rounds, where they lost everything. I mean, maybe QB expected them to hold on to what they had for a better buy, so perhaps took them by surprise. I don't know, but they're still going to have a crap buy. I don't know when we last saw a good buy from Gambit. Again, they've got max loss bonus, but they're still not going to have an AWP onto Mo. You see QB really enjoying this land. Lots of shouting going on. But again, it's another difficult buy for Gambit. Drone has 3,900 before he buys. Is he back on the UMP again? What is he going to do? They've got a tactical timeout, which has been called by Gambit. Margin for error is now nil. It's 0.
Yeah, things are looking really tough for them. I mean, they can absolutely turn the game around, force an overtime from this position, but I think we need to see better, just some better plays, more higher quality plays out of them. Again, you know, some of the efforts we've seen for aggression have not really been executed in the best ways. Again, you know, if you cast our minds back to that previous aggression from Adren, where he just peeks with nothing, basically throws a flash, shows that he's very close, and then peeks when everyone's has full vision again. Stuff like that, you know, it seems a little bit weird. Adren does go for the M4 actually. Gambit have a high amount of M4A1Ss if you compare them to every other team. Most people are on the M4A4 these days in professional Counter-Strike. And there's a very fast take of Banana with all the utility. And how far will they go? Quick wants it. He wants to go all the way. He'll get taken down by Mo, though, perhaps overstepping. But are they going to keep going here? Looks like the counter grenades will be enough to stop the push.
Smoke down in front of the bomb site. Dozier there for support. Dozier's holding a flash, which would be deployed towards the pool area. It would allow Hobbit and Co to face in front of the flash. Always a strong flash to throw if you're rotating in from the CT position. It can make the difference. Jimka's going to be staying as the lurker now, and QB Fire are rotating towards the A site. Smoke is replenished, but there is a gap. This area was made wider by Revolver in the new Inferno. So it's difficult for these smokes to be as effective as they used to be. Now, QB looking to give Gambit the kind of party they don't want on the A site. Fitch doesn't really have crossfire support. Adren is in this position, but he's got a lot to deal with, it seems.
Well, he just about spotted them. He doesn't really want to repeat this without a flash. Is there a flash for him?
Nope. Fitch doesn't have any flashes.
Okay, no flashes. Yeah, that makes... See, that's the thing about having a lack of grenades there. Having to go for a raw peek versus a peek with flashbang is so huge. But here comes the push here up quad. Just Boomich though, and he's going to try to sell this, and it has been largely sold here. He'll get taken down immediately, and the rotation will come back from Dozier, who was trying to float away from B in towards the A support, but now he's just covering the cross again. Lack of grenades here from both sides. It's all about hitting the shots right now, and the numbers is with, as well as the time is with the Gambit side, and they'll be able to pick up the round, and it seems like QB just sort of ran out of ideas.
Yeah, maybe it's the pressure of yet another upset slowing QB down, but they've got the money to weather the storm. But now finally Gambit have a good buy. I mean, the T half was not amazing for Mo, and I didn't expect it to be. But the CT side is where Mo should be lighting the board up, and finally he's got a sniper rifle. He's been quiet for the most part, but this is where Gambit can really flex their muscles. And if they're able to take this to overtime, I would think that they would have a lot of momentum going into that, starting with $10,000, get everything you want. So this is a really good spot for Gambit, but they need to be ahead of QB's game.
Yeah, I think you're very correct. I feel like it is, if they do get that overtime, they're heavily favoured. At least that's sort of how I feel. I think a lot of the things that Gambit had to deal with, I think they just found QB Fire a little bit difficult to read. I think they just don't have that much experience against them. QB Fire are playing a different brand of Inferno to a lot of teams with some of the arch-heavy play that they've gone for. But we'll see whether, as you say, Mo can get that up rolling in, because that would be such a big difference. It's working Banana for now, and having Mo on Banana with an AWP really allows you to more safely rotate away a player, like cheat a player, an additional one towards A if need be.
early round Banana has been horrific for Gambit in the recent rounds, but this is a slower start. The odd grenade here and there. And Junko will bide his time with an off angle while QB use the clock towards the A site. Waterfall's having a look towards the car position, perhaps, with his sniper rifle, but QB seems to be waiting for Gambit to make a mistake or wonder why everything is so quiet, but they're not really doing that. Fitch and Dozier playing around the short position. They could play double pit if they want to later on, which they're currently doing. Often people will look for the crossfire. Even if they pick off one player in the pit, they'll focus on the site, so this can be a nice change. And now all 5 are focused on the A site for QB.
A set piece, here it comes. Grenades tossed in. How well will Gambit respond? They only have 3 players here. The 4th is far away, and the 5th, as there's no rotation just yet. Now the rotation's coming in. They must get the first cracks, and they are. It's looking quite good here so far. Still, Dozier doing more damage from the pit, and a Dren to finish from Graveyard. The support from B not even required. That is a much more confident-looking Gambit. And also a QB5 who they were unable to find any edges in the early to mid-round, and then forced into a position where they had to run a set piece, and Gambit seems very comfortable with that. So that could bode well, or bode quite well for Gambit now in this final round.
The double pit play works quite well. After one was picked off, I think Dozier got a free kill. Hard to communicate the second player there, especially when they're taking fights at different times. And here we are. Still a good buy for QB, but can Gambit continue their momentum? Surely the worst would be behind them if they were able to take this to overtime. I see raised voices now on the QB side. Although nothing in particular is going on, I think maybe perhaps just some hot heads making clear what needs to be done.
It's honestly very tense stuff when you play T-side Inferno. I always feel like, especially in these situations, it feels so hard to get that first advantage, that first pick. Waterfalls is looking for that though, but you can see, look at the change of approach from Gambit. They're playing way more passively than they were previously, and that does eliminate some of the variables that QB were creating with their pushes, with their arch takes and so on. And Gambit can just hold tight, trust in their setups, and await the push. And it may very well be the case that QB5 go for a similar round to the previous one, but no, actually, arch presence again.
Junka still looking towards Banana. Unclear as to what QB want to do. Adrenaline with a 2-man spray now looking for the third. The pre-fire is there. The last bullet will deliver the headshot. And that's the bomb in Arch. The bomb is miles away. And there's no bus for Junka. He's got to make it on foot. 30 seconds, 1 versus 5. I think we're going to overtime. Walking into a crossfire, but only Fitch will be required. Dozier was there if needed, but here we are. And really, I think there is a strong advantage for Gambit at this point.
Gambit just seemed to deal well with pressure, James. I think it seems to be part of the family business, perhaps, as they managed to bring it all the way back. And again, as you mentioned, there's so many moments when their economy was ruined, they couldn't get good buys, but as you can see, Gambit, if they're able to win in overtime here, it would be the 4th major in which they go 2-0 in the groups. So no one wants to break a streak, James. No one likes to break a streak.
I love to break streaks. Mo will begin with the sniper rifle. It's already been purchased. We have some more discussion, a lot of discussion on the QB side, as you can see.
It's going to be really interesting to see what their approach is, because obviously now we've had the adaptation from Gambit, and not only that, it's changed even more so because QB were often fighting against the Gambit that was feeling like we have to make plays early round because we don't have utility, because we have UMPs, all this business, and now so like the whole playing field has changed completely here, and it has changed in the favor of Gambit, obviously being the team that then found success, brought themselves back into overtime. There's the inherent momentum there, but also in understanding better how QB play. And I think for Gambit, that was always the case. Working out what are their tendencies, what do they like to do, how do they want to open up the map. And so from that perspective, QB, they need to find something a little bit different now to be able to adjust to Gambit and their very passive approach in these rounds.
Right then, we said Adrenaline Waterfalls for the GoTV, but now I think it's time to keep an eye on Mo. Although Adrena's never a bad look. Let's see how it goes. All advantages for Gambit, I think most people will agree. Mo continues towards the B bomb site. Jimka deploying some early grenades, and Mo won't get the first shot off, but he's got enough space to recover, to back off, and Jimka won't run to his doom. He'll just establish control of the banana position, and now that's a minute and 30 seconds where Gambit have to wonder how many players are around this corner.
And this is another interesting thing here. We see that Waterfalls is looking for a repeat there. It's a very cute boost. We saw that very fast timing from Jimka previously. So look at the adjustment from Gambit. They've eliminated the variables of any sort of plays there. They're just not allowing there to be angles that they can be shot from. So they're just saying, well, you know, we'll just hold the side. And then, so look at all the time that's being killed here. Waterfall's waiting for the peak, Lots of time is being killed, and that's something that can only serve to help Gambit. Now QB5, they take top mid. So now they're in the same position again. They've got all the options around the map. They have to decide which site to actually run a set piece into, and that is what Gambit are forcing them to do.
Madren staying on Speedway for the time being. We can see into Arch from the Speedway position, but now he's rotating back towards the B site. He's got one flashbang. It can go into the pool. There it is. You see it. QB though, they're just waiting. There are 3 smokes down on the B bomb site at the moment, and there are 4 QB fire players waiting. 30 seconds. Kvik going to a tree position, presumably to deploy grenades. There's a re-smoke of the CT area. Adren going straight through it. Perfect play from him. Getting a pick off, spraying. Can't see anything else, but there are 2 people on the site, and this is carnage. QB walking into the mincer.
And we see now the problem of the approach from QB Fire. They were not able to burn any utility from Gambit. Gambit were able to throw another smoke on Banana. Oh my god, Boomish going in right there, but still it's too little too late. And again, they had no pressure. We had a smoke from Gambit on Banana when there was, like, what, 35 seconds left. That basically kills the push, which QB were invested in. They've given up control everywhere else on the map. So perfect round from Gambit, and again, not giving opportunities to QB Fire. QB Fire have to create more pressure and force more grenades out than they are currently doing. They can't just play so passively and wait Gambit to push them. That's not what Gambit are going to do anymore.
QB Fire back on the buy. It's just trying to do some late damage to the CT economy, which can matter in the rounds to come. We've got fast plays once again. QB going back to Old Faithful. This worked for them so many times. Very fast picks towards the banana position. Grenades will do big damage. Hobbit needs to stay alive, down to 6 HP now. And these are the rounds where Gambit were broken by QB Fire again and again and again in normal time. Just getting those grenades up, rushing up banana. Gambit were caught out of position multiple times.
I think Gambit are trying to sort of play ahead of the curve here, maybe expecting an adaptation from their opponents, and, you know, going for that very fast mid play to go for a pick. I think that was really cool, but you can see how vulnerable they were in Banana when that happened. So, as you say, they've got to be really cautious about this initial fast plays from QB Fire, which the passive approach fixed. They didn't lose anything to it when they went passive.
Nice.
And Mo with a very strong flick shot, whittling down the numbers. 4v4, and QB want to go for B, but Mo's the only man here. This is, oh god, this is so bad for Gambit.
Yeah, I think Gambit were convinced that the threat of Mo would be enough to force the rotation, so they gambled on putting the rest of the team towards the A site, but it seems QB Fire don't respect Mo that much. He was quiet in the T half. And there we go. That should be the round. Gambit, will they go for it? They are repositioning. Actually, they've got money in the bank, so they're fine. I don't think they'll really lose anything by going for it here. Oh, they're lining up for him. Waterfalls very quick on the trigger finger. Gets the first shot, but not the second. Hobbit has to wait up the flames. 6 HP, still alive is Hobbit. No grenades, no flashes, no nothing for Gambit. Just raw fire, and it's not going to work out for them. Hobbit will save the AWP. Would be madness to try and 1v3 with 6 HP.
That's actually a sick play, stealing the ult back. That's a really cool result, I think, for Gambit. That's pretty huge. That's obviously, they lost their off on the bomb site, but then they stole Waterfalls as one. And it's something which gets a little bit awkward for the CTs to be able to afford in situations like this in overtime. So it's always nice, always nice. And now I wonder if they do go back to the ultra passive approach. Again, that's been very consistent for them. This is one of those cases where sometimes I think that, you know, teams, they find a solution to how another team's playing, and then they think, oh, you know, they're going to figure it out, so we should change it up. But in reality, that other team still is working out how to beat it, and so you want to force them to beat that before you want to switch things up sometimes.
Trio of grenades flying through the window. That's not very nice if you're in your living room. And QB will make their way into apartments. There's that second mid grenade once again, bouncing off the wall. This time it does a lot less damage. The burst through the smoke, really trying to take these players by surprise. Maybe with a read of 3 towards B. Smoke onto Arch, and there's 2 players in the site for Gambit. But this is not a situation where QB even need to commit. It hasn't cost them much to get this map control. They forced Gambit well away from top mid, and there's still a minute 10 on the clock to play with.
So here again is back to that really passive approach, and Gambit had 4 players towards A this time. This is really huge, and this is very important too, because we know how much they love to go Arch and through the CT. Most covering that, but it's a good pick from Valina here as now the Arch play comes in from the QB side. Most will be very cautious that they don't split out through CT. He's got to protect the rotation from B, but at the same time, that isolates players on the bomb site. Adren alone gets one. He needs the second one here. He really desperately needs one more kill, and there comes Mo from the side, able to light up quick, but there's more work to be done. Now he's the only man to do it. QB Fire looking strong here. What can Mo do?
It's the last round. He's got to push. 3 rounds and a half now in overtime. 1 versus 3. How does he not get traded? He doesn't get anywhere into that round. QB will lead going into the second half. So despite the momentum that we talked about from Gambit, it was in their hands, but it was taken away. It was snatched like a handbag in a busy street.
Yeah, I think maybe they overplayed their hand in the second round a little bit, but we'll see if it ends up harming them, because again they had a pretty decent T side, and things are very different in overtime. I think there's a lot of teams and players out there that don't like overtimes because things get weird, James. I think that's generally how people would describe it. Things get weird.
Opportunity knocks for Quantum Bellator Fire. Freeze time. Pause has been cancelled. We are 15 seconds away.
I believe Bellator means warrior in Latin. Looked it up a few days ago. So they're Quantum Warriors, James, and then there's Fire. They're Quantum Fire Warriors.
Maybe they're standing on hot coals, perhaps. Can they win this round though? This is a very key round to win. This would give them a psychological advantage. Fitch making his way through the smoke, witnessing that fire, but will he make his way through the flames? Vic and Jim cut towards the B bomb site. Waterfalls trying to rotate between both. 3 smokes down top mid at the present moment, but no action behind those smokes, so QB will be confident with a 3rd man towards the B bomb site.
I think one thing that was really annoying for Gambit on their T side was the plays from Waterfalls. He was all over the place, being really aggressive. However, this round he's been a bit more passive, as indeed we can note that he's just holding an angle here towards Banana. We would expect him to be top mid, and perhaps this is the sort of mix-up that may get that 1 kill that Gambit wouldn't expect. Maybe they think the AWP is going to be top mid. And is there something here on the edge of the smoke for Waterfalls?
See Hobbit trying to bait with the jump there. He's trying to expose himself, but the police will shoot him away. 40-second mark, and Gambit haven't really played their hands. So there's no 4th man on either side for QB. There could be a flash over the roof which would completely blind Waterfalls. They do have some flashes, Gambit, but they're really playing this clock down. 28 seconds, waiting for a curious CT, but not quite getting one. Now they know where Waterfalls is. The flash towards Paul, will try to buy time. Will they check for Jumka? If they can get into position of Waterfalls, they maybe won't. Fitch will, but he won't get the kill. The trade is there, but there are 2 more people on the site. There's 1 down, and now they've got 13 seconds, and Kvik is really going to take them by surprise. Can they even get the bomb planted at this point? Do they have cover for it? They've got to fight for it. Oh, this is a disaster. 4 seconds, and it's not going to happen for them. They have played it very, very well. Kvik baiting his teammates like fish on the end of a hook. And there it is. There's the round for QB Fire. They played it very well indeed.
Oh my god, this one. Seeing that, okay, there's 2 people left alive, and then you see Adren's point of view, and he's like in the apartments, and you're like, oh no. Oh no. That's gone very wrong for Gambit. Adren unable to do anything there in the rounds, and QB Fire, they're 1 away. This is impressive, isn't it? Holding their nerve into the overtime, looking to break the streak of Gambit.
See the frustration there at the end of the round from Gambit. That might be the round that loses them the match. Jimko and Kvik getting aggressive. They're boosting on Banana. This would not be the surprise that Hobbit was looking for. The flashbang comes and goes, and Hobbit takes it in the face.
Uh-oh. Desperation surely begins to set in now for Gambit. They need a play to equalize. Very early pickoff from QB5. They can now play really passively, try to play things safer. They have the man advantage. The double ops, though, will not receive retake situations well. They won't be strong against set pieces with smokes. So these are things that QB5 might be thinking about. And Boomich will try to get a bit of info there for his team as he plays into quad. He does have some cover as well. So he's the most agile member of the A-bomb site. Considering that we have the AWP in the library and also an AWP over towards B. How did Gambit open this one up? They may just go for a set piece here, but they don't have almost any grenades.
39 seconds, and they're already a man down. Waterfall's making a nuisance of himself in the arch position. Adren avoiding the flashbang, but is he quick enough to take Waterfalls out? He's proven to be quite fast himself. The smoke is down, jumps past immediately, wants to get through into this position before Waterfalls starts, but Boomich will take him out from elsewhere. Waterfalls missing the shot, but the CTs are well equipped to defend this site. The clock's running down once again. The bomb's down, the bomb's up onto Mo, the bomb's down again, and it's Dozier 1 versus 3. 13 seconds, he's blind, and that's a wrap. QB Fire, another upset. How far can they go?
Amazing, just jumping out their chairs. These guys, what a story, as you said, James. Perhaps a breakout event for them. Still many more questions to be asked, but the victory against VP, some would have shook their head and say, well, it's VP. But Gambit, they are definitely a menacing team. They've earned the respect of many, a very solid group of players with a lot of accomplishments, the previous major defending champions. And so, QB fired. Now people have to start to notice them.
This is not the tournament for Pick'ems. Thoughts of the desk after the break.